Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of the Robbie Basel Show. You know who I am by now if you've been paying attention. I'm Robbie Basel, and today, first of all, thank you guys so much for the following I've been able to get for the first 29 episodes, and this is episode 30. Eventually on the Instagram, I'm probably going to work on it sometime in the coming days, where I'm going to post the best clips from this show, like stuff that I've said or some controversial stuff that I've said, because I've said some controversial stuff with takes that I've said. And I do know there's going to be at least one or two clips from other shows that I've been on, and I will link them in those shows in the Instagram post. So that's going to be happening probably this weekend. I'm not 100% sure. Another thing, other announcement, this will be the second to last episode in this set, and the second to last episode with current information before I go through the videos that will be fully edited for you guys of season predictions from the Premier League, the Champions League, NFL season, and of course, I'm previewing the upcoming three international, I think it's two or three, I don't remember, international windows for soccer. So those four videos should be coming out back to back to back to back. I'll let you guys know if there's any other changes. But today I have the recap of the preseason week at preseason week 2. We have the recap of the Premier League from this weekend because my God, there's a lot to talk about from there. And I'm talking about the PGA Tour Championship, which commences this weekend. And on Friday, just for a little bit of a update for Friday's episode, that will be. I have it written down, so don't worry about it. I do have stuff already for this. And Friday, it will be Premier League and NFL preseason again. It's going to be U.S. Open tennis. Yes, I'm going back to tennis again. Cry me a river if you don't like tennis, because that is a you problem. Because I like tennis. I think it's underrated. It's a lot of fun to play if you're good at it. I'm actually kind of competent, but so we'll have those three topics. That'll be on Friday, and then the next episode won't be till Tuesday, and then I think it's going to be a Tuesday Saturday schedule. I'm not even 100% sure. I know Tuesday I think it's going to be Tuesday and Saturday until live shows come back. Like I said, I think it's going to be Tuesday Saturday, Tuesday Friday. I think that is what it's going to be. But I already have one of the videos filmed. I'm hopefully filming another one of them soon. Hopefully before I go back to school, but probably won't be before I go back to school. But enough with this long intro. You guys know what's going on. And if you want to know more information, you can follow the Instagram for the Robbie Basel Show. The handle is in the description of this video, along with my Instagram and my other show, the Into the Stands, which hopefully kicks up in around, I don't know, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know. I'm just excited for that to come back as well. And I bet you guys who've watched Into the Stands and have come over to here are excited for Into the Stands to come back as well. For those who don't know, I do a show with Colin McGee and Chris Gambino, some of my favorite people to talk to from Iona. And we do our own sports show on WIUR, which is Iona University Radio, which has a YouTube channel. We did episodes ranging from, we did an NFL draft stream for I think it was 5 hours. Yeah, we did the whole first round. We did shows with guests. We previewed the World Cup. We have some of the most viewed episodes of podcasts in the channel's history. And you combine the 3 parts of the draft, that's going to be up there as well. As freshmen, and now coming into our sophomore year, we're really excited to get back to work. And hopefully you'll see us on Thursdays again. But of course, I'll let you guys know on this podcast for sure. Hopefully, I'll find out the information within the next 2 weeks. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure what's going on because there's a little bit of change to the WIUR and the hierarchy. So I'll let you guys know soon. But back to the regularly scheduled content because I feel like I've been talking for too long. And as I plug my iPad in because my iPad's dying, leave a comment if you want on who do you think the guests are. Actually, no, I've already said that. So leave a comment for who do you guys think has been the best soccer transfer so far, if you know any. And I've already made my prediction, and you'll see it in the Premier League prediction video. And one that we'll talk about him in a second because we have some matches to go through. Friday's match was crazy. I'm not going to go deep into it because the first match I want to talk about is Liverpool and Bournemouth. I actually did a mock commentary for this game, so I was actually able to watch the whole thing, talk about it all the way through. Of course, I'm not posting the commentary. I'm sending it to people, but in all seriousness, this match was weird. And the reason I'm saying that is when you look at first of all, let's look at the stats. My favorite stat. The XG is actually somewhat justified. And I don't say that about a lot of matches so far. It was 3.08 to 1.29, and let's just go through what happened in this match. So, there's changes in the lineup from the previous match for both of these teams, for one of these teams, and Anthony Semenyo scores the opening goal. It could have been two after two early mistakes in the back by Liverpool. And what that showed Liverpool was Bournemouth aren't like lying down and dying 9-0 again. They were going to come out. They're going to come out firing. And know what happens when you try and come out firing? Your defense is bad. There's a lot of things bad about what Liverpool did in this match. Luis Diaz scored a phenomenal equalizing goal. Little flick up and finish. And then you had the first controversial moment of the match, which was the Szoboszlai penalty. It's a weird one because it looks like Szoboszlai fully dives forward. But when you have a player fully going out and sticking his leg out and implying that a tackle could happen, it's a penalty. So I agree to end the moment with the decision. I still think it was a penalty, even though some people think it's controversial. I still think it was a penalty. Salah missed the initial attempt. It was saved by Neto with a big save, and then he tapped in and finished off the rebound to make it 2-1. And then this match got really interesting because McAllister for Liverpool got sent off for a tackle that some shouldn't think that would be a red card. I don't know. I mean, my initial thought on this was it's a minimum of yellow because it was a late challenge. Studs were up a little bit. And then you realize that a tackle with studs up late constitutes as a red. So, just like how the referee did it, I agree. He's off. And now he'll miss the next couple of matches. While Liverpool fans are crying a river about this, Liverpool scored again. I don't know what you're complaining about. They scored literally 3 minutes later. I don't get it. You can cry a river all you want. You go out and score again 2 minutes later, proving that the red card was kind of pointless. In terms of the outcome of the match. Because Bournemouth, after the first 15 minutes, got totally outmatched. And you cannot deny that. When the goal by Semenyo was scored, Liverpool woke up and they actually decided to play competent football. And that's what they did. Liverpool had 3xG, outshot Bournemouth 26-13, and it makes sense because they deserve to win this match. It's self-explanatory. Now, granted, do I think Alisson should have been sent off earlier for that tackle? I think it was on Semenyo again. Absolutely not. I mean, it's late. He's technically not really playing the ball. You can't give a red card for that early in the match. I don't think so, at least. I think it was justified the yellow card, but red, I don't think so. But the game was chaotic, and it actually kind of set up for it's just an appetizer for what else happened in this early window. Because while Brentford beat Fulham 3-0 and dominated their way for that win, Brighton and Wolves got really weird because Brighton went up early, courtesy of a goal from Kaoru Mitoma, and then with a span of 10 minutes, just scored 3 goals and went up 4-0. I don't get it. They had goals from Estupinian and 2 goals from Solly March, and then after changes from Wolves, He Chan Huang scored in the 61st minute. And then Mateus Nunes got a red card. Which, first of all, it's a red. Second, why the hell would you even do something stupid like that in the 95th minute of a match? He just got himself suspended 3 matches. Brighton deserved the win. And Brighton are actually top of the table on goal difference. Because only 3 teams are still perfect. 2 wins from 2 matches. Brighton's one of them. I don't think many people expected Brighton to look this good offensively, Because Brighton, in their first 2 matches, granted it was against Luton Town and Wolves, have scored 8 goals in 180 minutes. You could say you could do that against any team. Brighton, surprisingly to me, still competent. They had their first legitimate test because West Ham proved they're not a pushover against the bigger clubs. More on them in a second. And then not only that, they get Newcastle, and then Manchester United, and then a couple weeks later they have Aston Villa, and then add to that they have Liverpool City. Then they have a nice little break, and then they get Chelsea in December. This schedule is about to really turn up for Brighton. We're really about to see how legit Brighton is. Do I think they're legit? Not sure, because it feels like the scouts from Brighton just go to like Ecuador. They're playing FM. They basically go out to these South American countries and buy players for like a penny, and then sell them for like the equivalent of I don't know how much a freaking Starbucks drink costs nowadays, in terms of proportion. So say they buy a player for 3 million, they sell them for like 55 million, just as an example. So Brighton, that match got weird, and then we got Tottenham just beating United. I also got to commentate this game. This game was glorious. When I've done one of these mock broadcasts, I've done it for 7 games now. I've never during these games have seen such, like, I don't even know how to describe the feeling of how that match went. Let's go into this. So, first of all, I can't call this match without mentioning the heroics of Guglielmo, it's the goalkeeper, Vicario, for Tottenham, who was bought from Empoli. He's a stud. He made some very clutch saves throughout the entire match, including some crucial ones in the end. Tottenham looked decent and had a goal courtesy of Pape Sarr, who actually got transfer interest recently. And he was man of the match, which I thought was controversial. You cry me a river thinking that's not a controversial. You didn't give it to the goalkeeper who saved the match? No, you gotta give it to the guy who scored the opening goal. Granted, it was a good opening goal, but still, really? I mean, the goalkeeper went. I don't know. Anyway, we had good games from Christian Romero, very solid in defense with Van de Ven. You saw Pedro Porro look really good at right back. And then you saw the 2 central defensive midfielders in Jens Bissouma and Sarr really dictate a lot of the play with James Maddison. And that's really good to see. My player to watch is Kulusevski. He rocked a 6.9, which, nice. And in all seriousness, that rating is not justified. The one concerning bit was Richarlison with a 5.8. What are we doing? They need a striker, like, bad. Like, bad. Because Richarlison played 70 minutes and had a foot mob rating of 5.8 with 0.1 expected assists and 0.00 goals expected. Jesus. You had Son, who looked much better against the United defense. And then for United, Rashford, not very good. Garnacho looked okay. Mason Mount, not good. Casemiro, not great. Bruno Fernandes was like in 64 positions at once. I feel like he was Kamavinga for a minute because he was in so many different areas and wasn't really succeeding in any of them because the goalkeeping was miraculous. And of course, we had Lisandro Martinez rock a 5.6 and an own goal, which that's how Tottenham scored the second goal. It was like an own goal. Ben Davies had a shot and it kind of like deflected off the top of the foot from Martinez and it went in. It was a really weird moment. I didn't even know how to call it. I was like, Ben Davies, he shoots. And I was like, I had to pause for a second to contemplate what just happened. But Postecoglou gets his first win in charge of Tottenham, and it's also Tottenham's first clean sheet in 9 competitive matches. On top of that, it's Tottenham's first win against United in 6 attempts, and on top of all of that, it's the first time they've beaten United at their new stadium, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The impact for Tottenham's season on what this team could do was shown right there. Their potential was there. Can they keep it going? That's the only thing I could say about that. For United, what the hell was that? I mean, First of all, I questioned a lot about Andre Onana. The dude literally was by the halfway line and played one of the greatest passes I've ever seen, and it didn't lead to a finish. But still, I mean, there's not a lot Onana could have done. Could he have saved that first goal? Probably not. It was nutmeg through a player's leg. It went right through a player's legs, and there you go. Goal number one is laser into the middle corner area. And then the second goal, you could have argued he could have saved it, but it took a deflection and went in. United should be a little bit concerned, as United have slipped to a whopping 12th on a plus minus of -1. They are the second worst teams who have won their opening match. They're the second worst team on 3 points, but ahead of only Fulham so far. A little bit of a cause for concern there if you're really thinking about it, because Fulham lost to Brentford, which is, that's just bad enough. On top of all of that, let's just look at United's schedule, because it doesn't get easy. You open it up with a cakewalk against Nottingham Forest, but you get Arsenal, you get Brighton, and then you get a couple easy matches, and then you get City in a couple of weeks. That schedule against teams like Burnley, Palace, who were very tough with Arsenal, more on them later, Brentford, Sheffield, and then you get the Manchester Derby. That stretch is going to see, if United can get all those points, they'll be in contention. But if they're going to drop points, that's where the concerns really come up for United. And then we had the conclusion of Saturday with Man City and Newcastle. Now, despite the match ratings being really bad, and you got to give a lot of credit to City's defense, Newcastle had 0.29 XG against City. And on top of that, he only had 7 shots. I mean, I didn't get the chance to watch this match. Kind of glad I didn't, because 1 XG won the match. Singular XG won the match. And who scored the goal? If you said Julian Alvarez at the beginning of the week, you're right. Julian Alvarez scored the goal. Rocked an 8.1, played a pretty good match. The concerns are there for other players. Jack Grealish, 6.8 against Newcastle. Come on. I think there's more concerns, though, for Newcastle, because Newcastle went on and beat Aston Villa. They go on and play a much tougher side, and you had these types of ratings. Let's just name off a couple of them. Almiron, 5.7. Tonali, 6.1. Guimaraes, 6.3. Isak, 6.2. Anthony Gordon, 5.8. And then off the bench, you players do even better than the starters. Newcastle should be concerned a little bit. And I said on the last episode that this would say a lot about Newcastle. It kind of did, because, 7 shots against City is not great. Could it be better? Yeah. But there will be sides throughout this season that get less than that. And then Newcastle, they can't hang their heads on anything, because know who they get next? They get Liverpool next. Now, granted, they will be facing a Alexis McAllister-less Liverpool side. On top of that, it's at home. On top of that, this is the chance for them to possibly bounce back and really make a bigger statement than what they could have done against City. So Newcastle went out and lost. Then Sunday got interesting in the beginning. Aston Villa won 4-0. I didn't think that match was pretty self-explanatory. And then we had West Ham just beating Chelsea 3-1. And we saw some very funny moments from this match. Like Enzo Fernandez missing a penalty. We saw Mikel Antonio score a screamer. Aguerd scored the opening goal. Chukwuemeka scored. And then we saw the 150 million man Caicedo concede a penalty. That just made my whole day when I saw that moment happen. I was like screaming for ref, give a penalty. And then they gave the penalty. I'm like, I cannot be more happy. Because spending money doesn't always prove for total success. And West Ham, of all people, go out and win and are on 4 points in 2 matches. They draw Bournemouth, which looked really bad, and then you just follow that up by beating Chelsea. This team makes no sense. They don't have Declan Rice. It's only Michail Antonio. It's in Lucas Paqueta, who will probably be leaving soon. But then you forget they have players like Tomas Suchek. They have a player like James Ward-Prowse. They have Emerson at left back. I mean, Arola, I think it's how you say it, is not the worst goalkeeper in the world. And then they have other players on their bench like Elite. Actually, that's the wrong team again. I keep getting West Ham and Aston Villa mixed up. Comment below if that's concerning. But know what's even more concerning? That Chelsea lost this match. Granted, we saw some really bad matches again. Colwell 6.6. Sanchez 5.4. I'll leave the ratings there. By the way, what I'm using for the ratings is FootMob. It's an app on the App Store. If you want to look at all those deep stats, I'm not sponsored. I wish they would sponsor me, but if you want it more like in-depth football stats, soccer stats, go to FootMob. I would highly recommend. But in all seriousness, XG, Chelsea did XG West Ham, but West Ham had the better chances. They capitalized. Chelsea missed a penalty. West Ham converted theirs. Already a big difference. West Ham get the win, and then we have the match today between Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Which, to start, I'll just tell you what the XG was. Arsenal had a 2 XG, and Crystal Palace had 1.06. So you're probably saying, Robbie, why the hell are you concerned after this match? Arsenal probably won. They probably won by multiple goals. Why are you concerned about this team right now? Well, spoiler alert, Arsenal didn't make this comfortable for them at all. What happened is that it took 53 minutes for Arsenal to score. And when you always have to realize it's Selhurst Park, not the easiest place to play in. Though what's also nice is that Arsenal, according to the broadcasters today, had the best road record last season. It wasn't City, who I thought it was. It was Arsenal. And Martin Odegaard scored a penalty. I was like, thank goodness, I can relax, I can go back to work, focus on scanning my drawings. And no, Arsenal had to make this tough for themselves because Arteta decided to start Tomiyasu at fullback. Why? This is why you start Ben White at freaking fullback and start Gabriel at center back. Granted, there was rumors that Gabriel was linked to a Saudi club. He's not. Arsenal want to keep him. But why not start him then? You want a physical center back? Start the physical center back. Damn it. In all seriousness, Arsenal, that was awful. Somewhat. I mean, the first half, kind of mid. Arsenal scored the goal, and then you got to really think about it again. Like, Arsenal played bad. You got to give them credit for how well they played down a player. Down a man, and then Arteta made a lot of right substitutions. The biggest one I thought was he actually made a move for Saka to play fullback. I kind of like that because he used to play fullback, for those who don't know. He was eventually subbed off. You saw players like Odegaard come off. It's where the Havertz stayed in the 90 minutes. I thought 6.9, why would he stay in? Like, Martinelli made sense. Bukayo made sense. Keeping Havertz over Nketiah didn't make sense. Like, that's the one that I was, like, really puzzled on. But it works in the end. Arsenal got the win. How many shots did Arsenal have? You guessed it, they had the same amount as Palace did. 14 each. Arsenal had more passes completed that were accurate, but it had less percentage. And here's another thing. And the announcers talked about this as well on the live stream. Officiating, like, you got to give some things as a yellow. You got to keep it consistent. I agree with that. There were some tackles, like when Tomiyasu got sent off. That's a second yellow. The first yellow was for time wasting. That also should have been a yellow. They made an argument for Havertz to get a yellow card. It should have been. And if Havertz did what he did, he would have been sent off as well. Arsenal would have been down to 9. I totally agree with what those commentators from Sky Sports were saying. Meaning that if you want to call a foul one way, and you see it the same, and as a referee, I know this, you have to keep it as consistent as possible. Did the referee do that? I don't think so. But that's for everyone else's judgment. What I'm supposed to do is just talk more about sports. And that's what I'm going to do. So let's talk some preseason football, shall we? And I think the only customary way to start this is by talking about the masterclass of Kyle Trask going through the Jets defense. This dude, for context, I didn't watch the first quarter. I had things to do. The moment I turned on the game is the moment Kyle Trask decided to play competent football. The former Florida quarterback went 20 of 28 for 218 yards and a touchdown, fully solidifying his backup quarterback role on the team. What was unfortunate was John Wolford was taken out with a serious injury. Hope he's okay. But you saw not a lot of big time players for the Bucks play. The Bucks won this, by the way. But we saw Zach Wilson have the Jets play of the preseason. I think, arguably one of them, offensively at least. Zach Wilson ran for a big time gain of, I think it was 39 yards. He was running past. First of all, he spun away from one defender, which I already knew this play was going to be great. Sprints down the sideline, cuts one back, tries to truck a dude. That's when you know he's still got it. Zach Wilson went 9 of 13 for 70 yards. Now, while you don't think that's pretty trash, Zach Wilson is still percentage wise completion wise better than Tim Boyle. And while that may seem as a shocker or not a shocker to some, you got to realize Zach Wilson's still a decent quarterback. He's better than everyone probably watching this show, myself included. I didn't play high school football. I ran track. I've watched football since 2011. So as a viewer, I know what goes on with this stuff. And the harsh evaluations of Zach Wilson being inaccurate, he looked more accurate in the preseason so far. Will he touch the field? I have a feeling he might actually. Not because the Jets will be blowing out or being blown out. Because I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers will get injured. Because the Jets' offensive line, not awe-inspiring at all through the preseason. We did see, though, two important other notes. Mekhi Becton played and looked actually decent. And then Israel Abanikanda, I think, got hurt, and Bam Knight fumbled. Both of their jobs are at stake right now. Everyone's job is at stake. What other games we got to talk about? Also, the Jets' defense corner secondary, kind of mid. Let's go to another game that had some implications. Giants-Panthers. We saw Bryce Young look better. And we saw Tyrod Taylor look like a guy. Oh, and we saw Daniel Jones. Forgot about that. Daniel Jones led a nice-looking touchdown drive. I believe he threw his pass to Jalen Hyatt. Seeing that early connection between Daniel Jones and Jalen Hyatt is a very positive sign if you're a Giants fan. What isn't a positive sign is that the Giants made this really hard for themselves. And the Giants did win, barely. But we this preseason is a lot of weird things that you don't usually see. We saw a tie, not one, two of them. Do you love the preseason? Damn it! No. That's not a good thing. Bengals Falcons tied. We saw Taylor Heineke look okay, I guess. He ain't starting though. Sorry, Taylor Heineke. I like him. He's not starting. We saw the Jaguars. I'm just scrolling through this already because Nathan Rourke had another solid play, but C.J. Beathard also proving his role. Cartavius Bigsby, 13 carries for 70 yards. First competent running back I've seen so far. First competent running game so far. Good for him. He should make the team. Seahawks Cowboys, Will Grier threw a pick. Drew Lock actually looked decent. And for the Seahawks, we saw Geno Smith play as well. And Holton Allers. And while you think I may not know who he is, guess what? I don't. He went to East Carolina. Next question. What else do we got from this game? We had Zach Charbonnet play. He looked all right. Deuce Vaughn had another touchdown. The guy is just built different, even though he's 5'5". Other games to mention. We had the Colts play the Bears. And Nathan Peterman actually looked good. Justin Fields didn't play. I'm questioning that one a little bit. But nonetheless, the Bears did lose. And neither did Anthony Richardson. Okay. I mean, granted, he's going to be your starting quarterback, but why wouldn't you give him more time to play against preseason opposition? That's not only the only confusing move I've seen from the Colts today. Jonathan Taylor has requested a trade. And while I am intrigued by this idea, I am intrigued by this development, this is on Indianapolis. Jim Irsay, you're an idiot. I'm not the only person to say this. But your incompetence has caused your franchise to slowly be a downfall. This franchise was in the bin when Andrew Luck retired. Go all the way back to years ago. Like the 2019-2020 season. Your downfall began right there. Now you're even more screwed because you're about to ruin a possible generational talent out of Florida in Anthony Richardson. Figure it out. I'll probably trade him for like a third-round pick because it's the Colts. What else happened? Dolphins. Skylar Thompson threw 3 touchdowns. It's probably the first time he's ever done that at the NFL level. And Mike White didn't register a pass. The Dolphins are massive. Salvin Ahmed, though, almost ran for 100 yards. Player to watch out for the preseason. Also, we did see Tua for 5 of 7 for 61 yards and an interception. Texans-wise, we saw C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills. I assume C.J. Stroud will be the starter for the Houston Texans this season. Both of them didn't register a touchdown. One or two more games to talk about before we move on. Let's go Titans playing the Vikings. The Titans, Malik Willis went 8.5 yards per completion as he went 10 of 17 for 85 yards and a touchdown. Julius Chestnut, I'm not kidding, that's his name, 13 carries, 98 yards and a touchdown. Nick Mullins was the best quarterback for the Vikings. The more concerning part is that Malik Willis played the whole game and went 10 of 17 for 85 yards. And while they had more rushes than passes, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's how the Tennessee's offense will roll this season. Who will be their starter? No idea. So, what else we got to talk about? Raiders, Rams, Stetson Bennett couldn't rebound and looked not as great. And we may have another interesting late-round quarterback who could be emerging on the scene. That's Aiden O'Connell out of Purdue. I liked him in college. He went 11 of 18 for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the backup over Brian Hoyer. Prove me wrong. We also saw Stetson Bennett. Yes, like I mentioned, Stetson Bennett. Brett Ripien went 4 for 14 yards. And then for the Raiders, any more players notable? Zamir White. Only another notable player I can think of from this game, along with Darwin Thompson. Don't know why. And Philip Dorsett and Keelan Cole are the only notable. Hold on a second. I completely forgot Jacoby Myers is on the Raiders now. Did you guys know that? Comment down below if you knew Jacoby Myers played for the Raiders. I completely forgot. And we currently have a game in progress at the time of this recording. The Ravens are playing the Commanders. Shout out to former Jet Josh Johnson, who threw a touchdown. He's just that guy as a fourth-string quarterback. And that's all the games that I'm going to... Oh, and we had the 49ers win by 1. Trey Lance actually looked good. I forgot to mention this last time. Trey Lance looked really bad in his first start. Trey Lance looked better. I almost forgot to mention Trey Lance for the second week in a row. I don't know what I'm doing. Trey Lance with 12 of 18 for 173 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That's better than what we saw. Who's going to be their starter? It's going to be Purdy, and that's going to be that. I think Sam Darnold should be traded, and you got to keep Trey Lance around. His value, though, is going to decline a lot, but I do think we will see Trey Lance touch the field this season for the Niners. That's all I'm saying on that one. So, one more to go, and we have the PGA Tour Championship commencing this weekend at East Lake Golf Club in Georgia. Let's dive right into this. And to start, people may not know this, but let's look at the format. Because the 4-day tournament, yeah, but the scores all different for how we start this. So based on where you finish in the regular season standings, and the standings up to this point, you start at a certain number under par. So say, for example, Scottie Scheffler, number 1 in the world, number 1 in the PGA Tour standings. He starts at 10 under par. 10. Wait, no, for the viewer. 10. 10 under par. In second, Victor Hovland, who won the BMW last week. He starts at 8 under. Rory McIlroy at 7 under. John Rahm at 6 under. And it goes on and on and on and on. All the way to the player in Jordan Spieth, Sepp Straka, Sam Burns, Tyrrell Hatton, and Emiliano Grillo, who all started even 10 behind the current leader in Scheffler. So, who are some players to watch out for this week at the FedEx Cup Championship, the Tour Championship? First player, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, is Pat Cantlay. You can talk about all the players you want, but Patrick Cantlay has arguably one of the... Hold on, I'm just trying to find this stat real quick. So, Patrick Cantlay has... Let's look at what his wins. Career victories. We have Shriners Hospital for Children Open, Memorial, Zozo, which was in, I think it's Vegas. The Memorial again. We had the BMW Tour Championship, Zurich Classic, BMW again. And last year he was running down the stretch and almost won it all last season. Patrick Cantlay, I think, is one of those guys that can just get it done. Granted, he had a rough finish to the last week. He finished in 15th. But you can't never ever really count out Patrick Cantlay, especially with a guy who I think will be on the Ryder Cup squad. I think Patrick Cantlay, this could be his time. He starts decently far back. His odds, though, are plus 1,600. I think Patrick Cantlay will definitely be one to watch for this week. Next up, and there's a lot of good names, but let me just give you my long shot who I think has a chance. And I can't go this whole this whole PGA Tour segment without talking about like an underrated name. And I'll just give you two long shots that I think have a chance. It's going to be, who do I want to go with? The choices are massive. But when you got to go with one guy you can rely on, you can't go wrong with Tony Finau. So Tony Finau, he's at plus 1,300, yeah. Starts at 2 under, 8 shots back. The guy knows what it's like to come from behind and win a tournament. I'm going to go with Tony Finau as one of my picks. And then my second projected champion, part of me wants to pick my boy Xander. I'm not doing it. Part of me wants to pick a guy who's been red hot, or like a big name like a Victor Hovland or a Rory McIlroy. I'm going to do that. My PGA Tour champion this year is Victor Hovland. I'm picking Victor Hovland, people. Cry me a river. My players to watch for this week are Victor Hovland, Patrick Cantlay, and Tony Finau. Who do you guys have winning the Tour Championship? I'm interested to know. But that's all the time I have for you guys here today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Like I said, guests will be coming on soon. I bet you can't wait for those episodes to come out. But for now, I'm Robbie Basel saying good night. I'll see you guys this weekend. Goodbye, everybody.